stands for comma separated value, comma separated value. JSON stands for JavaScript object notation. And third, XML stands for extensible markup language. So now CSV, this is all about data exchange. So when you come on Wednesday, I'll cover more, but data exchange, I'll cover that in a Saturday class also. So data exchange, because as a QA, remember you are doing paste data. So you are sending data. Right now you're talking about first name, last name, account ID and all, but in a real life, you will be sending data in a bunch of data. So there are format you will use, and all three format you will use more often. So CSV is nothing but comma separated. So example, if I want to send a student data, then I'll say student ID, comma, student name, comma, student email, comma, student phone. Make sense or no? And then I can say one, name may be Emmy, name may be Emmy at apc.com, and phone may be 222, like this is the phone. And then I say Kevin and Kevin, yes or no? So this is the comma separated data. But JSON and XML, you have to follow a special grammar. Now JSON has 4 rules. How many rules? 4 rules. We're going to do exercise in 2 minutes, so you will understand. So first JSON rule is you have to do everything start curly bracket and end curly bracket. That's the first rule. Start curly bracket and end curly bracket. That's the rule number 1. Start and end curly bracket. The rule number 2 is JSON, every key, like example name is like a key, then colon and the value will be Kevin. Make sense? So that's called key value. Make sense? Key value. Third rule is if you have multiple keys. So example, like example name is still Kevin, double quotation, colon, Kevin. But then you have age, then you can say comma, and you can say double quotation, age, colon, and say 22. Because it's a number, I don't have to write double quotation, but I write double quotation, not a problem. But because of a number, I can write in this, and then I close the, like this. So remember, rule number 1, you start with curly bracket, you close with curly bracket. Rule number 2 is curly bracket inside key and value. Rule number 3 is a key, multiple key is separated by comma. Make sense? Rule number 4 is one key has multiple values. So one key has a multiple value. So one key has a multiple value. So the one key has multiple value. How does it do? So example, hobby. So you have hobby. If it's a multiple value, you do rectangle block, and you can say sports, music, right? Reading, yes or no? So if you have multiple value, you do in a rectangle bracket. So if you have a key value where key is 1 and value is more, you use rectangle bracket. Make sense or no? Now, the last rule is structure within a structure. So if you have structure like this is a structure. Whenever you use curly bracket, it's a structure. So example, if I say Kevin, sorry, name equals to Kevin. So that's the key value. But then comma, and then I can say address. But address I cannot do in a one line. I need a colon, and there is a structure here for address. Make sense or no? So address itself has a key value. So address has an address line 1, yes or no? Where I can say 951 North Plum Grove. And then your state, city, zip code, yes or no? City, and then you write Samberg. And then you have zip code. So you can see now you have structure within a structure. So like example 60173. Now see here, this one is a last rule, which is your key, and then your structure. Make sense? This has its own structure. This key has only one value, but this key has multiple value. So this is a structure. So how many rules you have? See, first start and end curly bracket. then key and value. Make sense or not? Key and value. Then key and value. Key and value, there is a separation. Then you have key and multiple value with the rectangle block separated by comma. And the last, your key value. But if you have key with multiple value, then you create a structure, start structure, end structure, structure within a structure. Questions so far? So far, sir? No, we're going to do it. We are going to do it. Okay. So now, please, you don't have to join WebEx. Don't join WebEx. Just go to internet. Okay. If you use this one is training, password is itexps123. Otherwise, you can use your own hotspot. But go to internet and type this thing, JSON online editor, and press enter. JSON online editor and press enter. JSON online editor and press enter. JSON online editor and press enter. And you will see this one. In your homework, you have this. That's the reason I had to cover it. So far, so good, right? You don't have to join WebEx. Please don't join WebEx because it will unnecessarily add the load on internet. Make sure you just and click on it. So when you click on it, you will get an editor like this, right? If you see something, just hide it and delete it. Don't worry. If you see something, just delete it. If you don't see anything, you may want to click on new and just see the window is empty, right? If you have something, just highlight and delete it. Right? Can I count everyone is here? Awesome. Relax, okay? Don't panic. This is a very smart editor. So it knows JSON very well. So let's start with the curly bracket. As soon as you do start, it will automatically close the curly bracket. So when you start, it automatically closes the curly bracket. Do you guys agree or not? Right? Makes sense or not? Right? Was it hard? Rule number one, start and end curly bracket. Now let's start student. We are talking about students. So we'll say ID in a double quotation, then colon, you can say 1, double quotation, ID, and colon, and then say 1. Means this is the key and this is the value. Make sense or no? So key and value. Now, comma. Now we can say double quotation, name, colon, Kevin. So you can see that I have second key, but they are separated by comma. If you see anywhere red color here, then there is a mistake you made. Right? You must know JSON if you are working in any field, because JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Browser likes it. You use for data exchange, mainly for web services. You use this often. So it's important that you know it. So far clear, key value, comma separated, structure, right? Now let's create another thing, comma, hobbies. Then after double quotation, colon, rectangle block, reading, then comma, make sure you do proper typing. If you have red color, stop it and fix it. Compare your program with mine. Alignment doesn't matter, but I normally do alignment because it is more readable. So you can see how nicely we use that. So this key has multiple values, and we did rectangle and we have comma separated value. Make sense? So all rules are here so far. Like, see here, you're starting curly bracket, ending curly bracket, key value, then your comma, key value, and key and multiple values. Now we're gonna do comma again, and we'll do structure within a structure. So we'll say address. And in address, we'll say colon and curly bracket start, press enter. And you can say address 1, and you can write colon 951 North Plum Group, comma, then you write another thing called city, colon, Sambar. Space doesn't matter. That was alignment I'm doing just for more readability perspective, but otherwise it's state. You got the idea. Makes sense or no? Illinois. Let me make it capital. See how nice it is. Now, if you know this thing, always you have this thing. Now, this is all about, I am writing about student. If somebody asks you to write about movie, can you write movie? Movie has ID. Movie has a name. Movie may have a genre. One movie can be action movie and comedy. Yes or no? Movie will have actor. So instead of address, you can say actor. Yes or no? Movie will have director. So this is your structure. So movie will have actor, movie will have actress. So actor is a key, and then actor has a name, actor has an email, actor has a phone. Makes sense or no? Same thing, a director, producer, like that. So you can create. So JSON, this entire thing is called document. This entire thing is called JSON document. What do we call? JSON document. Any questions, concerns, doubt? Anything which doesn't make sense? If you have questions, please ask. Was it hard at all? This was the ask when I was going through the interview in 2003. Somebody asked me, right? They gave me a paper and say, write a patient JSON. So I just say patient ID, patient name, patient email. Patient has some symptoms, right? Or patient has some history. And then patient has address, patient has a dependence. So I created dependent and then create a key value like that. And I got job. So sometime people ask you this thing writing. If you write this thing for web services, it is called request payload. We'll talk about that in coming class, but JSON is very useful thing. You will be using no matter where you go, you will be using JSON. But this is very straightforward, easy, readable data exchange from sender to receiver. Questions?
Yes, the structure within a structure and the brackets, what is the?
See, you have key here and you have value. So this is called value. But when you use this thing, that's called structure. So structure means more than one value.
But how big is one?
That's not a, these are value, right? But here in this structure, you have multiple key also, multiple value. In order for you to explain address, you do need to have multiple key, multiple value. So example, if I say, what's your name? What's your name? Right, very simple. But if I say, what's your car? Explain me your car. It won't help me, right? Because Acura can be million. So if I say car here, then you can say brand, Acura doesn't help me. Give me more detail. Then color, then give me color, then make. So that car is a structure. Anytime when you have multiple key value, it creates a structures. Make sense? This is also schema-less. This is not schema-less, so it's easy to do so. Any questions so far? Make sense or no? Now, this is nowadays almost every company use. Now, I give you a guarantee you will be using it because you will be always using JSON. This is more popular, but there is an old technology called XML. So I'm going to quickly show you that XML. So now go to Google and then we'll call a day. Go to Google and say XML online editor. Type XML online editor. XML is also nicely, but it has a rules. I'll cover the rules as we go further. These are all for data exchange. Tonight, when you go homework, you will have this homework. You are doing amazing job of homework. First of all, thank you. If you ask me, whatever homework I receive, 7 to 8 students receive. I would say if I give you rank, you are almost in A rank. There are other students who have done a homework, but I would say B rank. Do your best, remember. Anytime you don't get opportunity to correct. So do your best. So when you do homework, it's very important. This will prepare your muscles. I give you guarantee people will ask you. But if you don't do, you will forget about it. These are important but easy topic, right? Some of you are not knowing how to do. Have your buddy, call them, use WhatsApp, right? Use all those tools and technology for your advantage. Now, on XML online editor, if you scroll down, there will be a one thing called tutorial point. I like this editor. It's easy and powerful. So we'll click on tutorial points. Can I count everyone see? When you click it, it may be a little bit take time, but it will come back. So just click on it. And here, if you see everything, just delete that. Don't worry about it. Just delete it. XML is an old-fashioned data structure. XML online editor. XML online editor, and we are selecting tutorial point. I like this. Now, whatever you have, just delete it. Whatever you have, just delete it. Make sense or no? Now, please pay attention. XML itself has a rules. There are so many rules. I'm going to quickly go through. Please pay attention. XML rule is first is a case sensitive. Case sensitive. So uppercase, lowercase make difference. Make sense or no? Second thing, anything you start, you must end. You must end. So the way you start with angular bracket, just like HTML. So example name. Then you can say Kevin. Then you must stop that tag. Remember we talked about last week. So this is the way you start. Anything you start, you must end it. If you write here N capital, you better write N capital here because it's a case sensitive. Make sense or no? Okay. Third, you can also have a structure within a structure. So example, student is a structure and closing student is a closing structure. Make sense? Inside that you can have ID and you can say one closing ID. And then you can say name. You can have as many as you want. Make sense or no? Name and then is Tom and close name. So this is the child element. So we call element. Remember we talked about last week, we call element or we call tag or we can say command, whatever you call. But we normally call element. And this is called child element. This is called value. This is called start element. And this is called close element. Sorry, end element. Make sense or no? Start and end. Now, because there are many students are there, I can define attribute. ID equals to 1. Attribute means this is number 1 student. Make sense or no? Now, if I copy this part and if I put it here 2, and if I say 2, and I can say Amy, this is number 2 students. Let's say Tommy, Tom and Tommy. But then this student can have more information. Example, hobby, reading. It is okay to have element to element different thing. That's why it's called schema-less. So you can see that there are 2 students. One student has 2 elements, other student has 3 elements. So this is a flexible model XML gives you. Make sense or not? These item within element, it's called attribute, which decorate your element. Normally we use attribute for primary key. How we uniquely identify that. Make sense or no? Make sense? So let's go to our editor and we'll do it. So here, first thing you write XML and press enter, it will automatically close for you. Try to write lowercase, don't try to be creative, it doesn't like space and all. So XML. Then you write students, right? Students like that. So this is called root element. Every XML should have a root element. Every XML should have a root element. Every XML should have a root element. So if I have students, it means I'm going to give all student information. Make sense or no? Right? Now inside that I can say student ID equals to 1. Make sense? So student ID is 1. And if I press enter, it's completed. So you can see now I have this is the element start and end, and this is my attribute. Make sense, sir? Right? Now we talk about already. So you can say name, Tom, right? And you can say email. Let's say tom@abc.com. So I just decorated one. I just decorated one. Oops. Right. Yeah. So I decorated just one student. Make sense or no? Now, if I copy this section, you know how to copy? Highlight it, and do copy. Control C. Control C. Control C means copy. Control C. Copy it, and then do Control V. Control C and Control V, and just do 2 here. And you can do another student Tommy here, maybe another student Tommy, and Tommy has hobby. And you can say reading. So you can see now if I do this exercise on other side, it shows graphical representations here. Whatever I wrote here is XML document, and here I can see hierarchical or tree form. You can minimize also. So this is beautiful part about you can minimize like that. If you click here, you can minimize these elements. So here you can see you can minimize the element like that. It's a hierarchical element. If you click on that, you can minimize. So this is your root element. Student is your root element. Make sense or no? So student is your root element. So you can see here, this is nice XML. This is your root element. This element and this element, they are similar. So they call sibling. Sibling means same level. They are sibling. These are child element. These are child element, and this one is a parent element. Make sense or no? Now this is the element, and this is called value. For Selenium class, you do need to have XML and JSON knowledge. Because if you do not know XML and JSON, then you will not be able to do automation. So for automation perspective, you do need a JSON and XML knowledge. Sounds good? Any questions? Right? Now, people on phone, any questions? Now let's say if
no question.
Yeah, if I give you homework, movies, can you not do movies here? And can you not do movie here? Movie here. Now, if you, let's say example, movie has just an example, a student. Can I do the structure here? Yes, I'll do address, right? And then address, I can have address line 1, just like this, right? Yes or no? And I can say 951 North Plum Group. And then I can have the city, right? Schaumburg. So you got the idea. So here, this is one structure. And this is another structure. Why it is structure? Because it has a multiple key values. So if I have a movie here, please understand. If I have a movie here, can I have structure as an actor? Can I have structure as a director? Can I have structure as a producer? Yes or no? But let's say if I make a mistake, I forgot about closing, it will cry. When it cries, you will know right away. Here you will see error, right? So you will know right away there is an error. If you put it back, error disappear and you see nice structure. So XML is also very popular in the industry. However, JSON is most popular. So this is the way you start with XML, you close with XML, then your root element, then your elements, and then element has attributes. And this is the structure element. This is simple element, right? Simple element means only one value. Complex element means element has a child element. So if element has a child element, it becomes complex element. Make sense or no? Questions? Now, just want to quickly show you the homework because we are almost on time. Sorry for taking a little extra time. But homework wise, you will have everything clear now. We talk about JSON, say yes. Yes. Thank you. We talk about CSV. We talk about XML, right? So you will do that same concept. But then we talk about Fishbone, right? We talk about test coverage, code coverage, yes or no? We talk about FMEA. One thing I have not covered, I want you to little bit research about that. Bug lifecycle, I think we cover in great details, right? Truth table we talk about, and that's pretty much your homework is, right? So enjoy the rest of the weekend and make sure you enjoy your Super Bowl.